Have you ever looked at the sky during a storm and seen an eagle? While other birds seek shelter, the eagle uses the storm's powerful winds to soar higher, to rise above the chaos. This isn't just a story about a bird. It's a metaphor for a certain kind of person. A person who doesn't just endure the storm, but harnesses its power to achieve the impossible. Today, we're talking about one such individual. Long before SpaceX, before Tesla, before he became a household name, a young Elon Musk was a kid with a dream, a computer, and not much else. This is the story of how he weathered his first storms and built his first fortune. This is the story of Zip2 and PayPal. Our story begins in 1995. The internet was a wild, uncharted territory. A 24-year-old Elon Musk and his brother, Kimball, arrived in Silicon Valley with stars in their eyes and about $2,000 in their pockets. They couldn't even afford an apartment. Their first office was a small rented space in Palo Alto, and it doubled as their home. They had one computer. By day, the website was running on it. By night, Juan was coding on it. He literally slept on a futon by his desk, showering at the local YMCA. He said back then, "You have a computer, and you have a place to sleep. What more do you need?" This wasn't just about saving money. It was about an obsessive, all-consuming focus. Every waking moment was poured into their first venture. Zip2. What was Zip2? In today's world, it might sound simple. It was essentially an online city guide, a primitive version of Google Maps and Yelp combined. It provided newspapers with a searchable directory of businesses, complete with maps. But back then, this was revolutionary. Most businesses didn't even have a website, let alone a pin on a digital map. Elon coded relentlessly, often through the night, fueled by cheap food and an unshakable belief that the internet was the future. He taught himself to code, building the entire platform from the ground up. He and his brother would go door to door, trying to sell their vision to skeptical business owners. The rejections were constant. People just didn't get it. The internet is a fad. They'd say, "Why would anyone look for a plumber online?" Imagine the pressure. You've poured your life savings into an idea everyone tells you is crazy. You're sleeping in your office, barely making ends meet. Doubt would have crushed most people. But Elon, like that eagle in the storm, saw the turbulence not as a threat, but as an opportunity. The winds of change were blowing. The internet was that storm, and he was determined to ride it. He believed so fiercely in his vision that his conviction became its own force of nature. He wasn't just selling software. He was selling the future. And slowly, painstakingly, a few clients started to believe him. They secured their first major contract, then another. The company started to grow. They brought in investors and a more experienced CEO. For Elon, this was a difficult transition. He had built this company with his own hands, and now he had to cede control. He clashed with the board, fighting for his vision of the company's direction. It was a brutal lesson in business politics, but Zip2 was gaining traction. The storm he was flying in was getting stronger, and it was lifting him higher. Then, in 1999, the breakthrough. Compaq, a giant in the computer world at the time, saw the immense potential of Zip2. They made an offer, a huge one. Compaq acquired Zip2 for $307 million. At 28 years old, Elon Musk's share from the sale was $22 million. He was officially a millionaire. For most people, this would be the happy ending. The part where you buy a fancy car, a big house, and sail off into the sunset. The storm has passed. You've landed safely on the other side, rich and successful. But Elon Musk is not most people. For him, this wasn't the destination. It was just the launch pad. He took his winnings, a fortune by any standard, and instead of playing it safe, he bet it all again, on an even bigger, riskier idea. He invested nearly half of his newfound fortune into his next venture, a company called XCOM. His vision was audacious, to reinvent the entire financial industry. He wanted to create a full-service online bank, a one-stop shop for all financial needs. This was 1999. People were still wary of buying books online. let alone trusting their entire life savings to a digital-only bank. The regulatory hurdles were massive, the technical challenges even bigger. The dot-com bubble was inflating to precarious heights, and he was diving headfirst into its most competitive sector. Once again, everyone told him he was crazy. The big banks will crush you, they warned. Security is impossible. The storm he was entering was a hurricane compared to the one he had just left. Around the same time, another company called Confinity, founded by Peter Thiel and Max Levchin, was working on a similar problem. They had a popular feature on their platform called PayPal, which allowed people to beam money to each other using Palm Pilots. Soon, they adapted this for email. As XCOM and Confinity battled for market share, they were burning through cash at an alarming rate. It was a war of attrition. Both companies were brilliant, but the market wasn't big enough for two. Pressure was immense. They realized they were spending all their energy and money fighting each other, while the real opportunity dominating the new world of online payments was slipping away. The logical, albeit painful, solution was to merge. In March 2000, XCOM and Confinity joined forces. The merger was anything but smooth. It was a clash of cultures, technologies, and egos. Elon became the chairman of the new company, which was initially named XCOM. He pushed to keep the XCOM brand and to rebuild the entire platform on a Microsoft architecture, a decision that caused massive internal conflict with the original PayPal team, who favored a Linux-based system. The infighting was relentless. While the team was battling internally, the company was hemorrhaging money, losing millions each month to fraudulent transactions and aggressive bonus programs designed to attract new users. It was a crisis. The dot-com bubble had finally burst, and a nuclear winter was descending upon Silicon Valley. Investors were terrified. The company's survival was on the line every single day. The breaking point came while Elon was on a long-overdue vacation, his honeymoon. The board, led by Peter Thiel, staged a coup. Citing a loss of confidence in his leadership and his controversial technology decisions, they ousted him as CEO and replaced him with Thiel. Imagine the blow. You've poured your heart, soul, and millions of dollars into a company, only to be kicked out by your own team while you're thousands of miles away. It was a brutal betrayal. Many would have walked away bitter and defeated. But Elon, despite his anger and disappointment, showed a kind of maturity that defied his years. He remained the largest shareholder and a dedicated board member. He understood that the survival of the company was more important than his own ego. He put the mission first. The board decided to rebrand the company, focusing entirely on the one product that users loved. They dropped the XCOM name and officially became PayPal. Under Thiel's leadership, and with Elon's continued support from the board, PayPal focused on one thing: becoming the default payment system for eBay. They solved their fraud problems and streamlined their service. It was a masterstroke. PayPal exploded in popularity. It became the verb for sending money online. Fast forward to 2002. The once struggling startup had become an online payment behemoth. And another giant came knocking. eBay acquired PayPal for a staggering $1.5 billion. Elon Musk, as the largest shareholder, walked away with approximately $180 million after taxes. He had turned $22 million into $180 million in just 3 years, weathering corporate coups, market crashes, and betrayals along the way. He had faced the hurricane and emerged not just alive, but more powerful than ever. This is the fortune that would change the world. This is the money that would fund the impossible dreams of SpaceX and Tesla. The journey from sleeping on an office floor to a 9-figure fortune wasn't a straight line. It was a chaotic, turbulent flight through storm after storm. It required a relentless work ethic, an obsessive focus, and an almost insane level of self-belief. But most importantly, it required the courage to not just face the storm, but to use its wings to fly higher. So the next time you face a storm in your own life, a setback, a failure, a betrayal, remember the eagle. Don't seek shelter. Don't let the turbulence bring you down. Look for the updraft. Use the energy of the chaos to lift you higher, because the storms of life aren't there to destroy you. They're there to help you find out how high you can fly. Thanks for watching. If this story inspired you, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more.